Pues bienvenidos a otro episodio más del podcast Conquistadores de América y les saluda su amigo Edmundo Treviño. Estoy aquí con una persona que conocí hace unas cuantas semanas y me encantó su forma de ser, su forma de pensar y sobre todo su negocio. Tiene una gran historia y estamos aquí porque un conquistador de América no es nada más una persona de Latinoamérica que se vive en Estados Unidos. En este caso tenemos una gran historia que bueno, será contada en inglés o francés porque Charles no viene de América, viene de África y quiero escuchar su historia. Charles, thanks for letting me spend some time with you and talking about your story. So first of anything, who is Charles Noya?
Thank you so much, Edmundo, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk to these people about myself. My name is Charles Njoya. I'm an immigrant from Cameroon.
Cameroon.
Yes. Okay. I moved to this country some 8 years ago.
I just remember Cameroon when Roger Milla scored a goal against Argentina.
Against Argentina, 1990, right?
Yes.
Yes, that's right.
We were celebrating that day.
Exactly. There's a whole story about that. Yes. Let's not go there. Okay. So I moved to this country in 2012.
Okay.
And I have been, I started first. My career, I schooled in Africa.
Okay.
And it so happened that I went into finance and accounting very late in my career because somehow my parents wanted me to be a doctor, like most parents. But for some reason, something happened along the way and I found myself doing very well in these subjects, in anything that had to do with economics, business management, and things like that. That's how I found myself. So I graduated from college in Cameroon. Then I joined a company called PricewaterhouseCoopers.
Okay.
At the time, they had just moved to Cameroon. They were looking for some bright people. So I was lucky to be one of them. I joined PricewaterhouseCoopers, and within 2 years of working there, I was actually seconded to the UK. And then I was in the UK for 3.5 years, working within PwC. Then I went back to Africa. Instead of going to Cameroon, I went back to Gabon. Gabon is one of those smaller countries, but very oil rich.
Okay.
Because one of the things that took me to the UK was really oil and gas. I went there to train in oil and gas.
Okay.
I'm an oil and gas accountant, oil and gas auditor. And I was when I went back to Africa, my role was reporting to American companies, UK companies, all these group reporting companies. So I was moving around across Africa and I was based in Gabon, which is an oil-rich country. And I was spending my time in Angola, in Congo, in South Africa, in Nigeria. I was working for all these companies and reporting, doing financial reporting for them, back to the United States, back to the UK and things like that. I did that for 8 years. And I grew within PwC and I became a partner within PwC. I left PwC. When I left PwC in 2011, I moved to the US in 2012 and went back to when I came here. So basically, when I was in the UK, I qualified as a chartered accountant in the UK.
Okay.
And so I came to the US, and then all of a sudden, the United States were having, just when I came here, they had a problem. They had some sort of a meltdown in the oil and gas sector. So I didn't go exactly as planned. So I had to start all over. I went to school in the US because I had to have the required number of credits to go into writing my CPA.
To be a certified.
Even though I was a chartered accountant in the UK, it didn't matter at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to school, I had an MBA, and then I also I also did my CPA, and I qualified as a CPA. Went back as a senior manager within PwC, and that's within PricewaterhouseCoopers.
How much time did it take you to get your certificate so you can be a CPA in the US? You went back to school for long?
I went back to school. I did 2 years, and then I got an MBA. And then I also, with that, it gave me all the credits I needed. So during that time, I was also writing the exams because there are 4 exams actually. There are 3 exams. 3, yes. 3, 4. 4 exams. So I did all the 4 exams and I passed all of them. It took me basically 2.5 years and I was done with all the
I'm
exams.
going to go back a little bit to Cameroon.
Yes, please.
How difficult it is to get a college degree in Cameroon?
I want to tell you one thing. There's something about Cameroon. I come from the English part of Cameroon.
Okay.
Cameroon is a bilingual country.
All right.
So 90% of the country is made up of French-speaking people.
Oh.
And then the remaining 10% is made up of English-speaking people. That's a colonial kind of thing. So it was how Cameroon was played between the French and the English and something like that. So the English people in Cameroon, they always have to fight a little more, harder, to be able to get access to certain things, because most of the businesses are in the French-speaking country. Douala, which is the economic capital, is in the French-speaking part. The government is mainly French-speaking. Most of the government structure is French-speaking. The capital city is in the French-speaking part. So most people in the English-speaking part, they have to go to the French-speaking part to get opportunities. So in terms of education, you will see that many English-speaking Cameroonians, they go to school. They do go to school, but it's also a privilege to go to school, because in most of these countries where we are it's a less developed country, people have to do a lot more than we do in the United States, for example, to go to school, because people have to work hard. People trek to go to school from very long distances. And so I can say I was a privileged kid. I was lucky. I come from a very small home, but I was lucky that my path, I didn't grow up with my parents. I had to move from my father to go and live with my uncles, because my father could not take care of all the things that I needed. I started living with my uncle when I was 9 years old, just to go to school, just to be able to have access to things. So, and then that's how you get with most of us, because in African communities, people live in communities. If A cannot do it, they look for B to help out, C to help out, and that's how we go. So to answer your question, education is out there, but people have to do a lot more to go to school. However, Cameroon is one of the very high educated countries in Africa, yes.
No?
Yes.
Okay. But you have to leave your family.
You have to work really hard to get opportunity. And at times when I give my story, people might think it's so easy. This guy just went to school and then he came out and just went to PwC. From PwC just went to Europe. From Europe he just came back and had all these things. I will never stop thanking God, because I was really lucky. I don't want to say I was smart, because many people are smart out there, but they don't get these opportunities. I was lucky, but I worked very hard to get some of the things that I got. In school, I didn't say this, but when I graduated from school, from high school, because my father wanted me to be a doctor, and I was going to do social science or going to do accounting, my uncle did not want to hear about it. So I stayed home for 2 years and I wasn't going to school, because all he wanted for me to go and do what I needed to do to become a doctor. That was his dream. People make their dreams and then they want you to follow their dreams. It was not until so many things happened that I went back to school. And when I went back to school, the fact that I was behind 2 or 3 years on other people, I worked extremely hard to do many things. I always looked at other people because I was young, but I always felt like I was older because I had been 2 years behind.
Exactly.
And it gave me the impetus. I created an association in our school called the Association of Accountants of the University. And that is what gave me a lot of opportunities, because I met all accounting firms in the country. I was taking people, we would travel from one city which was the smaller city where our university was, go to that big city where everybody is. We wanted to go and meet the CEOs of companies and tell them that we are the young accounting students from this university. I was the president of the University of Boya Accountancy Association, which I helped create. We were the people who created that association. And I would go to every CEO. Before I left the university, I created jobs. I created internship for almost 90 students in our university. Gosh. And that is what gave me these openings, because every other person, they knew me within the business community. And when I left school, guess what? I had all these internship opportunities given to the school through me. So the head of department, he couldn't even go to those people without talking about me. And that's how we gave internship to each student, and I was privileged to be able to choose where I wanted to go because those people knew me. They wanted to have me. So I had the opportunity to either go to PricewaterhouseCoopers or Deloitte & Touche. And
big names.
Yes, big names, because that was my dream. But if I hadn't done all the groundwork that I did when I was in school, there were times in school I was absent from school for about 2 weeks. And everybody thought I was gonna fail. But I was working really hard to make things happen. And I didn't fail any course. I graduated on time. I had the best grades. I graduated as the second best student of my batch. And that's how I got into PwC.
That's an incredible leadership.
Yes.
It is. And a lot of times, I don't know if that happens with your friends, your colleagues over there at school, but sometimes I feel like there's people that's going to school thinking that when I graduate, I'm gonna get a great job. But the thing is that you gotta start working on that job before you graduate.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So basically, people concentrate on the goal. They don't concentrate on the process. So people look at the final thing. So generally, people will come see you and I sitting here, and they will see the aura that's around you and I sitting here, and then they will be excited. They will have some sort of the motivation to want to get access to what we already have. And before you know it, when they start going through that process of getting what we already have, then they find out that they can't do it. And that's why you find people giving up. Mm-hmm. They say he's no longer motivated. But motivation is not the key. It is, you have to be disciplined. Mm-hmm. Discipline is the number one thing. Yep. And you have to fix the process, work through the process, and the process needs discipline to work through that. If you inculcate discipline first, more than motivation, you will get to where you want to go. And you want to work the process rather than the goal. People concentrate on the goal, and that's how they fail. So the process is when you enter school. That's why children already know what they want to become. They start working towards that. It's a whole process. But people are always thinking about the goal. They get motivated by that nice car out there. Yeah. They get motivated by that goal rather than the process. But you have to work the process, and that's what I was doing when I was in school.
And you have to enjoy it.
Yes,
yeah, for sure.
Exactly.
And I'm very proud of here that you were working on trying to get opportunities also for your friends.
Exactly.
Not only for yourself.
Exactly.
And helping others, you were actually helping yourself.
Exactly. You'd never know. So help is an incredible thing. When I started doing all of those things in school, there were times that it came a point in the school where I told people, I had met certain people, and they were like, you can't meet those people. And I was like, I met them. I met those people. And I would choose some people to tell people. So when we started the Accountancy Association in school, we were in a class of 40, but there were only about 3 students who would join the association. But we didn't care about getting the 40 students member of the association. We went along with the 3-4 of us that were in the association. because we knew exactly that it was all about building this process to get to where we want to go. But halfway through the process, because everybody saw when we did our first launching and they saw the caliber of people, the amount of money we raised to do that, and the people who came to speak, everybody, I remember the day we were having our launching discussion and people were already packed out around the school. There were people who were members of our class who were actually registering to become members on that day, just because they wanted to see the output. People are thinking about output rather than thinking about the process. And that's what the problem was. That's how we did that.
So you came to the States and you got to start all over. You went to school, and what happened next? You got a job at the same company?
I would tell you something. Generally, the story is, when I came to this country, when you go to another country, it is a whole start over. When I came to this country, the first thing my thought was that I was just going to come here and move into PricewaterhouseCoopers. That was never going to happen. I came here, I wasn't able to get that PwC, first because the people I wanted to meet here, whom I had met before, I came at a time where there was a meltdown in the oil industry. And that was the industry I was most affiliated with. So the partners that knew me, when I met one of the partners in the US, when I spoke to them over the phone, and then remember something, it's easier to meet people when you are sitting there. But when you're no longer there, it becomes very difficult to meet those same people that used to talk to you all the time. So at times you get here and then you realize this is much more complicated than I thought. The first week you think you're going to speak to somebody, you can't speak to that person for the first week, you can't speak to him for the first month, you can't speak to him for the next 2 months, and then you realize, okay, I've got to change my priorities a little bit. So when I finally spoke with one of these partners, she told me that, Charles, the oil industry, you know what's going on with the oil industry right now. We are letting people go. So if I were you, I would think about doing something else, because now the industry is really down. And that's how I left. I just went back to school. I did what I needed to do in school. I graduated, and I graduated from school. I took my CPAs, and immediately when I did all of those and they knew that I was qualified, I went back to the same PwC. I was there. It was a tough process, but I have drive, and drive for me has always been there. From school, when I came here, failure has never been something that's associated with me. Any person who knows me knows that Charles is not gonna fail. Charles is gonna fall, but he's not gonna fail.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
And so how did you survive those couple of years that you have to get your certification? You got some savings from your former job?
I had a little savings, but those monies, they'll fly away very quickly, because one thing I tell people is that jobs are never gonna make you rich. Jobs can they can make you live on a daily basis. You enter that rat race, you enter that vicious circle where every time you get a raise, your lifestyle also increases, and before you know it, your life is only going according to that. I wasn't able to live a year on what I had saved. So quickly, I realized I was doing everything I could do, even when I was going to school. I was going to school, but I was doing everything I could do, because I knew that was the way. I had a wife, I had kids, and I had to take care of these people. Me and my wife, we had to kind of fold our sleeves and then try to do what we needed to do to make it happen. And today, I'm proud of what we've been able to achieve in this country. And remember, when I came here, after 2 years, my thought was always about going back to Africa. Why? Because I had lived this good life in Africa, and it was always about going back to Africa. Let me finish this thing and go back to Africa and be A, B, C, D, or E, because of the relationships I had, the aura that I had in Africa. I had a lot of relationships that I just could build. I thought I could just build on. But when I left and I came back here, at some point, some of the people that I used to contact, I wasn't able to talk to them. And immediately my mindset changed and I told myself, but why am I trying to go back to Africa? Instead of going to Africa to look for a job, I should take job back to Africa. I realized, I told myself that I am in the richest country in the world for a reason. And if I'm in the richest country in the world, and for God's sake, I have all what it takes, I have the educational requirements. I was a resident of the United States. So that gave me everything to do anything I wanted to do. So that's how I thought, and I said, okay, I will go to PwC in this country. I will also work in a smaller firm just to know this country. And before I know it, I wanted to create my own business. And that's how CHN Group started in my mind. I started thinking, all my thought was about CHN. And everything I was doing was about learning, understanding the people, understanding most importantly, how the US system works. Mm-hmm. Because I knew that for me to be successful, I needed to know how the system works. And that is not something I learned from any university. No university was going to teach me that, even though I went through some good universities here. No university was going to teach me that. And then I had to learn it from experience. I got the experience, and then immediately when I thought I was ready, I just ventured into it. And that's how I started. And today I am proud to say I am able I'm building something that is really, really exciting. Mm-hmm. Yes.
How long or when did you start it?
I created CHN CPA. I created CHN CPA and Associates in 2018. Okay. That's when I created that company. It was registered, and then 2019 was when we started. I started doing consultancy. My first real job was I got a job with one of the Fortune 500 company. Okay. And I got that job through one of the partners we worked with at PwC. So this guy, they were looking for somebody because they had acquired significant assets in Africa, in 3 countries in Africa. They had significant assets in Cote d'Ivoire, in Senegal, and they also had it in Mauritania. And for them, because they are an SEC registered company, they needed somebody who understands US GAAP, mm-hmm. US accounting system, and who also understood the OHADA accounting system, which is practiced in those countries in Africa. And somebody referred them to me. So when they came to me, I was like, aha, okay. So that is how I got the first contract for my company.
That's what I was gonna say. Do you remember when you quit your job?
That is a very, very difficult one. I quit my job. That day, those are dates you never forget, right? Because when you quit your job, it's like the world is ending on you. It's like the world is ending on you. You're feeling, there was a time I drove my car and I stood on the road for almost 2 hours. I was thinking by the road. And I was thinking, what next am I going to do now? How do I really take this upon this? But as you know it, the most important thing in business is to start. That is the most important thing in business. Every other thing is irrelevant. Just start. Just start. Most entrepreneurs just get there because they started. Most people who are already in the jobs market, they have ideas, they are afraid of starting. Yeah. The most important thing is to start. Because one of the things I didn't know was that when I left my job, I didn't have the contract that I had. It was later on that someone called me and told me that there was that opportunity for me to go there. I was about to start a business, but I wasn't really sure about the business. Most people won't take that risk, but I did. And one thing that happened is when you start and you get the first client is going to bring you more ideas. The second client, there are so many opportunities in the United States. They are just limitless. Every day you move around as an entrepreneur and you meet another entrepreneur, they are only talking about opportunities. So once you start, I tell people, just go out there and start something. But before you know it, you are mad with you are just completely sunk in so many ideas that you don't know which one you want to take. So I tell people the most important thing is to start, and the most important date is that date when you get to really let go of that thing where you think this is my safety net, this is my happy area. You want to leave where you call your comfort zone.
Yes.
And then go to that place where you feel the pinch. When you start feeling the pinch, that's the beginning of goodness. And I can tell you, the United States, for any place in the world, if there's only one place in the world where it is really, really structured for business, it's the United States. And I can tell you what, I can tell you why I say that. We just going through a period of madness called the pandemic. The United States has spent, they are almost spending close to $2 trillion in support for people and businesses within, to get them out of this madness of the pandemic, to get them to avoid any kind of trouble with the economy. Remember, the American economy, 95% of the US economy is made up of small businesses. And they account for almost 60% of the GDP of the United States. It doesn't mean that the United States, it really tells you that the United States economy, the small businesses are the economy.
Yeah.
Small business is the economy of the United States. And they understand that. They will do everything to support small businesses. More than, of this almost $2 trillion that have been spent, which no other country in the world has even gone close, 90% of that money is going to small businesses. Just only very little is going to individuals. Most of that money is going to every small business is getting EID loan, PPP loan, all these loans, all these facilities, grants over here and there, they are only going to small businesses. Why? Because the economy, the small business is the economy of the United States.
They create the jobs and they pay taxes.
And they pay taxes. They create the jobs, number one. People tell me all the time that there are loopholes in the tax law to help people should take advantage of. I tell them it's not a loophole. It's actually there for a purpose. It is there to help all those who are helping to give this security in the country. They are helping to keep people to avoid any social unrest in this country, because as long as you can give people jobs, the government is also there to support you to avoid all these social unrest in the economy. And that's what they do.
So you started your business, you got this first contract,
yes.
And then you decided, hey, I'm gonna start helping businesses.
Yes. So one of the things, again, so as a CPA,
I can see in your eyes that you're feeling like the first day that when you get that.
I know. This is really interesting, because once you, the great thing about success is not about money. It is all here. It is the mindset. And when you help people achieve a goal, you get satisfaction. But you also ultimately get the money in that process.
Yes.
So the goal should not be the money. The goal should be helping people.
And I don't know a business that has in its goals something else but financial stuff. I mean, everybody's like, oh, we want to increase sales 20% this year. Nobody says, I want to help 20% more people this year.
Nobody does that. If you go to many companies, they will tell you about corporate social responsibility. That's a big slogan. They try to throw it out there so that everybody believes in it. But we are in a country which is made up of sharks. The United States has a lot of sharks. If you don't know it, play with your credit card. Just go audit your credit card report. You will see how many amounts of money are going out of your credit card on a daily basis. There are companies out here whose roles are just to ask you, please give me your credit card. Let me audit it. And if I don't get anything, don't pay me. But anything I get, we are going to share it. And guess what? Those are very thriving companies. That's to tell you how much of sharks they are in this country. As long as your credit card is out there, it's just going. Some people are just getting it out. Because people are always looking about, how do I make these things happen? They are more, the whole aspect of corporate social responsibility is just a slogan. The reality is, everybody is running behind profit. The few who are running behind trying to help people achieve certain goals, they are the people who really make the success. For me, I look at success as making another person smile. That to me is a success.
A great motivation, a great goal.
Yes.
And so when you opened the business, you started with this contract, you started helping people. So you have already, 3 years with the business?
So this is my 3rd year in this business. Let me tell you, and it's not always rosy. When I started this business, I started from home. I didn't have an office, so I was working from home. Then later on, I went into partnership with a friend of mine, with somebody that I met, and I thought, okay, we are 2 CPAs. Let's come together and create this thing. It still didn't work out, because partnerships are very difficult to work out.
I was going to ask you, how was it?
Partnerships are very difficult, not because the other person is bad or because the person is this, but because the mindsets are not, the focuses are not the same. The understanding of your overall objective, your visions are not the same.
Yeah.
You have to get somebody who understands your vision and who has to go by your vision for you guys to be able to agree. But it's not that easy.
No, it's not.
So we were together for about 6 months, and then it failed. For me, that was a big failure. But I tell people, you want to always fail up, fail higher, fail higher. What does it mean to fail higher? It means that every time you fail, there should not be a second time of that same type of failure. So you fail the first time is your learning process. You fail because that was your first time of doing that. So you failed that time, and it only can take you higher. You fail higher. Don't fail. You fail because you've already gone past this step, and then you went to this one, you're learning a new thing, and then you fail on it. It takes you to because every time you fail, the worst thing is to fail lower or to fail down. You fail on something, and then you fail on that same thing again. You didn't learn on that failure.
Exactly.
Yes. So when I had that experience, that was an incredible experience for me. What I did was I just pulled out of that experience that was in 2019. And when I pulled out of that experience, the next thing I thought was, okay, I'm going to use this, what I already have. But if I want to go a step further, I'm going to buy a franchise.
So you failed with a partnership, and then you decided to go even higher.
I go higher. I go higher. But the reality is, when I looked at the franchise I was looking for, I wasn't looking for a great franchise that already had this. I was looking for a franchise that would give me some of the basic things that I needed to be able to push my company to the next level. And so I got into this great franchise partnership with Liberty Tax. It's a great company. And it's turned out to be a great success for me, because it was like that springboard that I needed to just take me to that level. Today I have a company. My location is still Liberty Tax location, a very good location. It's out there on 13134 Veterans Memorial Drive. That's my primary location. And when I use that as a springboard, and it's been incredible, because not only have I been able to use that to take advantage of the systems. There are so many things that you cannot do yourself. The marketing is already done by them. The systems are already there for us to use. Clients are already there. They already know that name. So even if you tell me that I should pay 14% or whatever percentage in terms of royalty for that business, That to me, I am just giving a portion of my revenue to someone. But it's not like my vision still remains my vision, because Liberty Tax has this system where once you are a franchisee, you basically run your business. You are the owner of your business, and you can do a lot of stuff unlike many other franchises where you are stuck in a box. Mm-hmm. Liberty Tax is kind of an open franchise where you can do a lot more things. I am a CPA. There are certain things that I provide within my company that Liberty Tax doesn't provide. I am free to provide them. I'm able to do that. I'm able to go out of that box and do certain things, and which is excellent for me.
So you're not just helping with tax returns for people, but you started offering some other kind of services that you find niches, or that you find needs that you want to provide people.
I'll tell you one thing. I mean, I have when I said, when you go to a place, you want to know what works in that country. You want to know what are the things that you need to know. In the United States, there are two key things that every person needs in order to get to the next level. Two things. And those two things, they're two critical things. Number one, you have to prepare your tax returns, not only for the motive that most people prepare their tax returns for, but you have to prepare your tax returns strategically and get them prepared by someone who understands the motive of a tax return. One thing I want to say here is that in this country, I said earlier that you cannot win in this country just being an employee. You have to be an employer. You have to go into entrepreneurship. You have to own a business to be able to win. And for you to own a business, one of the biggest shortfalls, or one of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs have, is access to capital.
Exactly.
Access to capital in the United States being the richest country in the world, means that there is capital somewhere. The problem is, how do I get access to that capital? And one of the things that you always are asked in the United States, if you're trying to get access, is you are always going to be asked, where are your tax returns when you want to get access to capital? Yeah. The question you should be asking yourself as an entrepreneur is, why are these people asking for these tax returns? What are they looking for in the tax returns? Is it just because they want the tax returns to show that they have been prepared? No, there's much more they're looking for. So your tax returns, you should prepare them. That's the number one thing. Because, just before I get back, let me just roll back 1 inch. You have to get access to capital, you need to use other people's money, which is that capital that is out there. You have to be able to leverage. Use that money, convert it into assets, and then take the profits out of it. That's how you build wealth.
There's a lot of people that thinks that we shouldn't ask for money because, oh no, you don't need to have loans and you're going to be worried about it and this and the other. Why don't you save money so you can do something? But actually, by saving money, you're helping somebody else.
Okay.
Not necessarily yours.
The United States system is, I was going to come to a second thing, but let me answer you. The system in this country is made up in a way that some people understand the concept of something called leverage. Leverage means the power. In accounting, leverage really simply means how much debt do you have compared to how much assets you have. That's leverage. But leverage, in another terms, in business, simply means being able to use other people's abilities efficiently to help you grow yourself. So if you are in a business, you can't be the one who is doing social media. You're the one who is doing bookkeeping. You're the one who is doing accounting. You're the one who is doing printing and everything. If you do all of those things yourself, you never have no time to focus on your business, and you never grow. So you have to leverage. You have to use the best people who know how to do social media. Let them do their work. You have to have the best people to do the accounting, and then you focus on what is your core competence. That is called leverage. The other thing, and that is where you start really realizing growth. And for you to do all of these things, if you are that guy who wants to save money and be able to use your money to do things, first of all, to leverage, it requires capital to be able to pay all these individuals who are doing these things, because those are the people who are going to let you go from $0 to $1 million to the next $1 million. Before, if you do it yourself, you can only do yourself as many times. But when you want to multiply yourself, you need all of these people, and it needs capital. So you need to have access to capital to do these things. You can save money for all you want, but it's only going to take you that far. Again, but saving money I don't want to discount saving money, because you have to save money, because you have to build the right credit, because you have to have when I said something about taxes, when you have saved money, it is shown on your taxes how much you're making. Those taxes, if you are not already making money, it is not showing as much is not showing on your taxes. So when you prepare your taxes with the goal of maybe having access to money, your financials should be able to show that you're making money. Because the banker who's on that other side, what does he want? He wants to know that you can pay him back.
Exactly.
And that's why he's asking for your financials, to see that you're making enough money to be able to pay him back. And in this country, the financial system will give you up to 10 times the amount you're making. So imagine that you made $100,000 a year on your tax returns, and then you gave it to a banker. Then they analyze it based on all the other factors, and including that, they see that you're making $100,000. Based on other factors, you could get up to $1 million.
Wow.
As an entrepreneur, tell me, how much can you do with $1 million? Incredible.
No, you can do many things. I mean, right now I have like 20 ideas that I want to implement.
And remember, in the United States, at this point in time when we're talking, the interest rates are at the lowest at this time. So if a bank gave you $1 million and you're paying 3% interest, imagine what you can do with that money, how much you can turn it over. The second thing that is going to make you great in this country is your credit. Because when you are looking for money, they ask, when you go to buy a house, number one thing, they want 2 years of your tax credit, of your tax return and your credit.
Yeah.
You want to go and buy a car, oh, give me your tax return and your credit. You want to buy anything, oh, how much do you earn and your credit? So they are looking at how much you earn, and then they are looking at your credit score. So when I came to this country, many people in my own community have given up on credit because they don't understand how it works. They just realize that the thing keeps just destroying them. They have bad credit, and it is so hard to move credit forward.
Yep.
So people have given up completely on their credit.
And I remember when I came, Charles, I didn't understand the credit score. And the first thing I did is start applying for credit cards everywhere.
Yes.
I ruined my score without having it.
Exactly.
I went down instead of
going up. So I have people. So the two companies that I have, I am a CPA, so I do accounting, I do all this, I do tax returns, I help people, most importantly with tax resolution, because many entrepreneurs have problems with the IRS for many years. So I help them with that. Number two, I do a lot of I do tax return for businesses as well. But number three, I realized that in order to complete that package where you really get people help in order to have access to wealth, you had to do some sort of financial literacy kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And this is about helping people improve their credit. So I created a company called CHN Financial, which is all about financial literacy, helping people to understand their money, understand how to manage their money, understand the concept of credit, and also help them improve their credit scores. So one of the things I'm really excited with that, because imagine I have clients who had already given up on their credit altogether. But today, they have homes that they bought their homes. And they can't thank you enough for helping them buy a home, for helping them understand how this credit system works. Because we live in a country where there are two sets of people. There is 5% of this country which is made up of what I call sharks, and then 95% of the other people. And these sharks, these 5%, they control more than 95% of the wealth of this country, because they have this 95% of the people working for them. And they will do everything for everybody not to understand the concept of credit. And that is why if you went and applied for a credit card today, immediately it tanks your credit. If you missed a payment today, it tanks your credit immediately. But if you paid on that credit card today, it will take about a month or two before they put it down. Because they know that by the time you get to that level, you would have done another thing to tank it down. What do banks? The question you want to ask yourself is, banks, why do they have, when I say they have interest, so they have every interest in keeping this 95% of the population down so that their credits are never good. Because how do these banks make money? They make money through interest rates.
The fees, interest.
Most important, interest rates. So if your credit is good, your interest rate is very low.
Exactly.
They don't make money out of you. But when your credit is bad, the interest rate is higher.
Yeah.
So they love you because you are there. They want you to stay there. The more you stay there, the more money they make. So they have no interest in teaching this population to understand the concept of credit. Mm-hmm. So our role is really to help people understand credit. And that is why, rather than only doing credit repair, we do what they call financial literacy. We teach people to understand how to manage money.
Yeah, because you can prepare the credit, but they can go bad again immediately.
All the time. All the time.
You want to keep it there or make it even better.
And I'll tell you one thing that's a little bit different. What I realize is that there are many credit repair companies out there, but many of them understand how to challenge things, dispute things on your credit repair. But they don't. Like, if you started with a credit company to fix your credit, all they do is they are working on their own side and you're working on your own. So you don't learn nothing from them. What I think people need to know, and every time you're moving out there, your credit keeps just going. So that's why many people complain that I have paid this company for like a year and my credit's just going down, because you've not been educated.
Exactly.
So the important thing is not to stay there fixing the credit. The important thing is to educate the client, educate the person, so that they know how to fix it themselves. Help them fix it themselves. That is more important, and that gives more value to your business than trying to do it yourself.
I think they see the short film. I mean, they think what we're discussing, they are concentrating on the money, so they are just concentrating on trying to make some money out of these people instead of helping them. But by helping them, they are afraid that maybe these people won't come back. But I think, Charles, I mean, if you do the taxes for somebody, and then you do some kind of education on taxes, how to do it right or better, and then how you can fix your credit, you're helping them. These people will never like to leave. I mean, at least you have their tax returns forever. That's one thing.
Yes.
But the second thing is that they're going to bring you more people.
You know,
you never run out of people. There are millions and millions over here.
Edmundo, the United States is crazy with market. The market of this country is crazy. And I'll tell you something. When I tell people I help you build your wealth, I don't help people prepare taxes. I help you become wealthy. Because when I see somebody in front of me, I am not looking at the money I am making right now. I am thinking of, if this person becomes richer, I am going to be richer. And if I can help this person, like, you give people financial literacy, you know what happens? They have access to more money. And when they have access to money, they build credit for themselves. They build their own empire, their own business empire. Yes. Because you already build you already built a relationship with someone who is growing, whom you're helping grow, or a small business that you're helping grow into a very big business. Every client of yours that is growing, you're growing with that client. You grow with your client. And if you help somebody just for now and that person falls, guess what? You just lost, you just failed, you just failed. That is the concept of you have to fail higher. You have to always be going higher. So every client of mine, I do a lot of things to make sure my clients grow. I do a lot of, within the legality, I tell my clients that you don't need, for example, you don't need to try to always get a refund from the IRS. Why do you need a refund? You need to make more money. That's what makes you, if you make more money, you really don't need that refund, do you?
And that happened to me personally. I filed an extension and I just show my returns this year.
Yes.
And it's the year that I have paid more taxes ever.
Yes.
And of course I felt bad because I didn't want to send the money.
Yes.
But then I realized I have never made this money.
As much money. Exactly. Whenever you make, you know how you get a refund? Because you show the IRS that you lost money. And when you show them that you lost money, guess what? You will take those same financials and go to the bank and want to get money. The bank won't give you any money because you don't make no money.
Exactly.
So you don't have access to leverage. The only way you have access to leverage is because you are able to pay back the money of the bank. The bank sees that you're making money. Everybody wants to be associated. Remember, if you are moving with 5 broke people, if you are not a broke person and you're moving with 5 broke person, guess who is going to become the 6th broke person? Mm-hmm. You are going to be the next. But if you're moving with 5 healthy, rich, successful people, you know what happens? You are the next successful person. Mm-hmm. So every time you look at a client, your goal should be, how do I make this person become more wealthy? How do I make this person become more successful? How do I make this? It's not about trying to get money from the IRS. It's about how do I make this business more successful so that we can together be successful. That's what's most important.
That's great.
Yes.
And I think that, I mean, the way I was, the last question I will just ask you is, what brings you that fire inside? Because I can see that you are like burning. I mean, you want to do so many things. You're very passionate about what you do and stuff. Where did you get that from?
I am a child of...
How do you get very motivated about it?
I am a child of the community. I come from a background where people didn't know anything about generational wealth, generational success, where people were always crying. They never knew. There were times in our growth where you didn't know where you'll get the next meal.
Wow.
And that, when you have that, and you are blessed to be in a country like the United States of America, you have to be the door to other people who didn't have that possibility of being here, who didn't have that possibility of getting all the things that God has given to you. So my thing is always, how do I help people grow, but how do I help that community that I've left behind to get there? So my fire is, first of all, always is going to be my family. I am married. I have 4 incredible kids, and I work all my life for them. With my wife and my kids are really the soul of why I do what I do. But I also come from that community of people who have not had opportunities. And I think that my role is to make them get what I got, and even better. So any person that stands in front of me, I am always thinking, if I can make all of us grow, I can pull those people with me. So success for me is not my success. It's a community success. And when I fail, I always feel like I let my family down, but I also let my community down. So everything I do, I have that in front of me. Those people have to be proud of me. Not because I did anything. I try not to do anything that's going to get me into any trouble, but I also try to make anybody standing in front of me to gain from every interactions we have. And that's what I call That's what I call success. Success to me is about making the other person successful.
Wow.
Yes.
That's a great purpose. Charles, thank you so much, and I'm very proud to listen about this and learn from you, and I'm very proud of the time that you have just shared with us, and I hope that you really get very success, because that means that you made a lot of people success.
That is my goal, and I know it's gonna happen because I'm doing it from a good place. When you work anything from a good place, the God that we serve is going to help you get there. It's gonna happen.
Thank you so much, Charles.
I appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Pues una gran historia para Conquistadores de América, y como les digo, no todos vienen de Latinoamérica, también desde África se puede conquistar este gran país. Pues le agradezco mucho a Charles y espero que lo hayan disfrutado como yo lo disfruté. Hasta la próxima.